Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In light of Liam Spencer's alleged miraculous recovery, the Beautiful's complex cover-up seems to be poised to escalate as it hints to Friday, July 18th. Now that Liam Spencer's miracle has left more questions than answers, Grace Buckingham, the crafty doctor with a talent for deceit, turns her focus entirely to hiding her tracks at the center of this compelling plot. In order to ensure that millionaire Bill Spencer transferred a substantial cash for what was billed as a life-saving treatment, viewers remember how Grace carefully brought in her colleague, Dr. Audie Carey, just before to the procedure. However, beyond the surface, the whole situation smells of foul play, with hints of a complex ploy intended to take advantage of needy families. Imagine the stress in the operating room as Grace made the first cut on Liam's scalp, and the twist that devoted fans could have anticipated. The likelihood that no actual surgery was performed is growing. Perhaps Liam's illness was made up from the beginning, with no real tumor ever found, which added to the mystery and enabled Grace to stage a fake crisis and resolution. This may be related to a broader trend in which Grace uses falsified medical documents to mislead susceptible people about their dismal prognosis before launching a fake remedy that demands outrageous prices. Examining the scam's mechanics in more detail, it is conceivable that Grace was forced into this web of lies, maybe by blackmail regarding her prior transgressions or personal weaknesses. For example, via medical examinations and discussions, she may be increasing patients who first appear with minor brain-related problems, such as concussions from accidents, into stories of incurable malignancies. Liam was a great candidate because of his ties to the very rich Spencer family. Bull's enormous fortune guaranteed a payoff that might finance Grace's covert plans, maybe even funding clandestine activities or paying off unreported debts. Grace might have used subtle drugs that were passed off as symptom relievers to sell illusion, but instead they made Liam's headaches and confusion worse and made the approaching disaster seem all too real. Imagine Liam suffering from imagined agony and holding on to hope as Grace described a groundbreaking therapy that isn't accessible anywhere else. Under the pretense of experimental technology and expert fees, they kept the money for themselves. Let's now examine the mysterious physician Audie Carey, whose fleeting appearances have failed to persuade viewers of his credibility. His muttering phrases and disappearance on screen give the impression that he is more of a silent collaborator than an experienced neurosurgeon, which feeds rumors that he is just an actor or chorus member in Grace's ruse, rather than a licensed expert at Elm. This particular information deepens the story by implying that Grace's network includes dubious people who are prepared to cooperate in exchange for a share of the earnings. The irony is evident if there had never been a tumor in the first place, as she confidently states that the tumor disappeared after surgery, calling Liam a walking medical miracle. It is all smoke and mirrors, this prosperity. The ethical ramifications are a constant source of concern for fans. Chris may explain her behavior by pointing out that Liam's family has a happy ending without the stigma of sickness, but at what price? Long-term trust concerns in Liam's relationships, particularly with his father and loved ones who supported him, might result from the emotional toll he suffered from having to undergo a needless dread and a cosmetic surgery. Ever the doing patriarch, Bill Spencer is soaking in the glory of what he sees as a successful conclusion. As he rejoices at Liam's second opportunity at life, his relief is evident. However, this happiness is based on deception, and learning that he spent millions of dollars for a solution that didn't exist would surely rock his world and lead to a vindictive quest for justice. Given the dangers, Grace would, in private, mutter excuses to herself, assuring her conscience that no one had really died. Although his kid is spared and she is free from any dangers that may be threatening her, Bill's pocketbook is lighter. But given the soap opera's history of violent altercations, it's possible that Bill's rage, if stoked, might destroy Grace's whole facade and could even bring in law enforcement or private investigators to reveal the scam, making things more difficult. After such a very difficult operation, medical critics like Finn Finnegan and Bridget Forrester are already casting doubt on Grace's hurried decision to release Liam into Bill's care immediately. Their professional intuition is right on since, particularly in a high-stakes brain surgery, traditional methods would need prolonged monitoring for issues like infections or neurological impairments. Grace may be trying to avoid too much attention with this hasty release, but it's really what's bringing Finn and Bridget closer to the truth and creating a fresh perspective. Maybe because of her own medical background and familial connections, Bridget begins comparing Liam's scans with those of other specialists, looking for discrepancies and imagery that suggest digital changes. Motivated by his protective instincts and recent experiences with dishonesty in his own life, Finn may surreptitiously get medical data and piece together a chronology that doesn't make sense with the unexpected presence of a little-known physician like Ada Carey. And the post-op reports, where are they? Grace's objectives give her antagonist a sympathetic human side. The storyline's whispers imply that she was forced into this swindle, maybe by shady characters who threatened her daughter's safety or her career. She is not exonerated by this. In the realm of the brave and the beautiful, a hoist obviously has repercussions, and Grace's moral lapses will probably result in a spectacular collapse, replete with heartbreaking admissions and shattered alliances. She'll double-check the money transfers for the time being, her face showing a hint of remorse mixed with the joy of a well-executed plan. She imagines a smooth escape, maybe moving with the money to start again. However, the soap opera's penchant for twists guarantees challenges in the future. Authorities may be notified by an anonymous tip or a wire transfer error. The dramatic high stakes of Liam Spencer's near-death experience and the mysterious experimental process that might either give him a new beginning or put him in danger on the brave and the beautiful will then be discussed. In the middle of this gripping storyline, Liam Spencer was confronted with a monstrous brain tumor that threatened to take away his future, a prognosis that reverberated like an ominous prophecy through the Forrester and Spencer families' hallways. He suffered a terrifying bullet wound that might have easily killed him, adding to this horror. But in spite of everything, he managed to survive and came out on the other side with a fresh respect for each breath. This second escape from death's clutches gave Liam a strong will to live, leading him to accept an experimental operation that had not yet been tried. One that adds a new dimension to the story and is veiled in mystery and possible dangers. Perhaps mild symptoms like recurring headaches and brief blackouts were the first signs of Liam's trauma. Downplayed at first as stress from his turbulent relationships, but it eventually became a serious issue that made him face his vulnerability. However, as the plot develops, rumors among fans indicate that this alleged lifeline may be more dangerous than the first threat, turning what ought to be a ray of optimism into a maze of doubt and sorrow. In the crucial episode that aired on Wednesday, July 16th, viewers saw Liam submit to this covert therapy in a last-ditch effort to get his health back. This scene had viewers on the edge of their seats. Liam awoke momentarily from the daze of the anesthetic, his eyes flickering open in a flash of confused clarity, only to snatch himself away for what seemed like an instant return to the operating table. However, spoilers suggest that this may be a deceptive tactic, perhaps pointing to a multi-phase strategy that requires recurrent interventions. The driven physician in charge, Grace Buckingham, first presented Bill Spencer with this novel but unproven treatment, portraying it as a game-changing solution derived on state-of-the-art research and cerebral regeneration. To add creative elements to this area, imagine Grace showing Bill's slick brochures with encouraging results from international trials, along with testimonies from unnamed patients who have supposedly overcome comparable odds. The purpose of these brochures is to entice Bill to join the group without disclosing the experimental infancy procedures, which may involve and prove a gene-editing tool or nanotechnology that is still being regulated. Powerhouse tycoon Bill Spencer, who was famed for his unwavering parental instincts, seldom touched on the complexities of the therapy. He is completely focused on his one objective, to keep his kid alive at any costs. In Bill's view, money is nothing more than an object ready to pour forth a flood of cash on anybody who promises salvation, even if it means avoiding the conventional medical system. There is a new aspect here, too. Since this blind trust may have consequences that go far beyond financial hardship, perhaps entangling the Spencers in a web of moral conundrums and covert plans. Bill's hurry may be the result of a hidden shame over prior family conflicts, such as his tumultuous relationship with Liam's mother, which makes him overcompensate by financing lavish off-the-books practices that defy accepted norms. The procedure itself proceeded with a suspicious air that has people speculating as Grace took over directly, unaware that such quick cuts can attract issues like unchecked side effects or even legal ramifications if the therapy fails. acting differently than a trained surgical team would have expected by wielding the knife. She performed a precise incision on Liam's head only seconds after he became unconscious, particularly without inserting a breathing tube as is customary, which raised questions about the procedure's validity and safety precautions. The operation ended quickly and apparently without any problems, but its shortness seemed unnervingly efficient, raising the possibility that shortcuts were used to hide shortcomings or hasten outcomes. This was imaginatively expanded upon by picturing the sterile private clinic bustling with a hint of secrecy, where Grace's helper exchanged fervent looks, suggesting improvised methods such as laser-guided, minimally invasive tools that promise speedy recovery but lack long-term validation, leaving room for mistakes that could show up as subtle inflammation of the brain or unanticipated neurological glitches. Liam quickly scrawled his signature on the authorization documents in the run-up to the surgery, inside a private, upscale facility that was out of sight. Any reluctance to basically gamble his destiny was overridden by his desperation. He moved forward without receiving a thorough briefing on the entire range of risks, including the low chances of complete success or crippling side effects, to provide a thorough examination of this part while adhering to the main concepts. Think about how this hasty consent reflects larger themes in the soap opera, where characters frequently make snap decisions driven by emotion that could lead to future plot twists like lawsuits or family feuds or complications. Liam's ill-informed decision also highlights the experimental nature of the procedure, where risks like organ stress or cognitive impairments are left unclear. Even while Liam recovered from the procedure unharmed, the real test will come in the post-operative period when it is unclear whether Grace really removed the dangerous brain tumor. According to reports, the treatment was considered a complete success on paper, but it may have unintentionally triggered latent problems in his neurological circuits, such as irregular electrical impulses or chemical imbalances, creating a fascinating new aspect. It's possible that the therapy included injecting a new serum made from uncommon plant extracts that was meant to destroy tumors, but had the potential to change brain chemistry, which might account for Liam's delayed complete waking and stoke concerns about new abnormalities. There is still opportunity for wild speculation over Liam's rebirth, since he is still in a state of limbo and has not yet completely recovered awareness. He awakens changed, with a redesigned personality that changes his allegiances or erases memories that he formerly held dear. This new Liam situation may also show itself as bodily changes, like increased vigor combined with erratic mood swings, which would impact how he interacts with Steffi, Hope, and the rest of the family. On a more sinister note, the instability of the operation may lead him to disaster, which would be much more deadly than the first cancer fear. When examining this component, the irony is that the same invention that was intended to resist death might instead hasten it. The Spencer clan's resiliency may be put to the test when an optimistic intervention devolves into a disastrous blunder due to cascade failures like seizures or immune system breakdown. We will next examine the growing hostilities between sisters Lean Poppy on the Bold and the Beautiful, where a flurry of family strife and magic behind the scenes has been sparked by Luna's untimely death. The long-running rivalry between Lee Finnegan and her sister Papy Noah is still going strong in the ever-changing world of the beautiful and the daring. Luna's untimely death has thrown the Noah and Finnegan clans into a maelstrom of contradictory emotions, escalating ancient grudges into explosive confrontations that keep viewers captivated, but also triggering new wounds after a devastating family loss. To add depth to this continuous story, consider the sisters' conflict dating back to their early years spent together in a busy seaside town, where Lee's strict medical profession collided with Poppy's more adventurous interests, laying the groundwork for decades of brewing animosities that are now erupting. Actress Naomi Matsuda, who portrays Lee with intense passion, provided an unscripted spark to their most recent furious meeting, elevating the drama and transforming a planned argument into an unforgettable on-screen confrontation. Fans were drawn further into the emotional turmoil by this improvisation, which not only demonstrated Matsuda's artistic skills, but also the unvarnished honesty that soap operas rely on. As loyalties splinter and secrets threaten to come to light, the extended family is dealing with a tapestry of grief and confusion as a result of Luna's demise. Devastated by the death of her niece, whom she also considers a grandchild due to her complex family, Lee lets her sorrow spill into unbridled wrath, her impassioned outbursts displacing her medical precision. Poppy's reaction to the news, on the other hand, was almost joyous. This created a new layer to the dynamic by portraying her as cold-hearted and aloof in the perspective of others around her. It's possible that Poppy's relief is due to repressed memories of Luna's difficult childhood, including rumors that Poppy's own previous transgressions may have contributed to her daughter's dark path. This would give her apparently heartless behavior more psychological depth. Lee became so enraged by this difference in morning routines that she had to confront Poppy in private for a no-holds-barred showdown. In a darkly lit Forrester Designs lounge, where accusations flew like knives, there are a lot of silent regrets. Ever the defensive one, Poppy defended her seeming indifference by accusing Luna of being a heartless murderer and claiming that her daughter's removal from their life provided a perverse kind of tranquility to the mayhem she had caused. This audacious argument only served to escalate the conflict as Lee threw a litany of blame on Poppy, accusing her of being the reason for Luna's transformation into a monster due to years of neglect, inadequate parenting, and a nomadic lifestyle that left Luna open to negative influences. The suspense of the scenario was heightened by Matsuda's unplanned flair, which gave the image a visceral sense of authenticity. Examining this crucial exchange, imagine how Lee's remarks reverberated off marble walls as the altercation took place in a remote area of the Spencer estate. Every word was tinged with the agony of an aunt that had attempted to guide Luna to the correct path, only to see her go in a downward spiral. In addition to revealing the sister's long-standing wounds, this conversation also raised the possibility of more extensive family secrets, such as unpublished letters from Luna's past that may come to light and contradict Poppy's story. Behind the cameras, the beauty of this episode was documented in a candid Instagram post by Romy Park, the gifted actor who played Poppy. In it, she described how Matsuda and Lee shoved each other violently, which increased the scene's tenseness. Instead of creating conflict, Park welcomed this spontaneous action. In her response, Hugh extolled its virtues, adding a creative touch with laughing emojis that mirrored the cast's togetherness. Perhaps Matsuda's personal theatrical experiences, where she developed her talents and improvisational abilities, served as the inspiration for her improv. She brought that energy to daytime TV and generated excitement among the production staff, who praised the take as a season highlight. Park continued her statement by praising her co-star, lovingly referring to Matsuda as her big sister and expressing sincere happiness during their moments together. A demonstration of the close ties that stand in stark contrast to their personalities' hostility. Even as their on-screen personalities go further into therapy, Matsuda and Park's friendliness is evident, offset by their shared lunches and social media shoutouts, creating an atmosphere where creativity thrives. With more heated arguments looming as unresolved concerns emerge, the gap between Lee and Poppy is certain to deepen significantly in the episodes that follow Luna's passing. To add new features and a new perspective, future storylines seldom ever unearth damaging information from Poppy's background, such a secret journal describing Luna's early years, turning their disputes into public spectacles during family get-togethers. If Poppy discovers Lee's covert secret that she has been hiding Luna in a distant safe house and pretending she is dead to shield her from vindictive enemies, the stakes might explode. A narrative twist that would destroy confidences and start a fresh round of treachery. Matsuda and Park will undoubtedly provide powerful performances that enthrall spectators, fusing planned intensity with their innate connection, regardless of the twists the authors imagine for Lee and Poppy's tumultuous path. Their capacity to handle these intricate sisterly relationships, fraught with guilt, redemption arcs, and possible reconciliations, is a key component of the attractiveness of the brave and the beautiful. When examining the actresses' synergy, it's clear how their genuine connection heightens the feud's reality and permits nuanced depictions that delve into concepts of forgiveness and family responsibility, while tantalizing viewers with the prospect of shocking disclosures that might transform